More, just a little more, just a little more.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Just a Little More. We have made it to Wednesday, hump day, and we have some black topics coming your way. Ooh, they juicy tonight, y'all. Just a reminder, here at Just a Little More, we're dedicated to getting just a little bit more information, a little bit more tea, and a whole lot of love. Hey everybody, hey family, how y'all doing? Hey Chantal, hey Maurice, hey Gary.
We here.
We making it, we are here. So let's
We
get
in
into
here.
these hot topics. Sis, take us away. Go for.
Okay, so this is like our third or fourth week doing Black Topics. So you already know where it is. It's where we discuss everything from politics to pop culture, everything impacting the Black community. Bliggity black, black, black. So we had a whole schedule planned for today. And we'll get to those things, but I think that we'd be remiss not to talk about the non-charges that did not come down for the killing of Breonna Taylor. There were charges handed to one cop, right?
Yeah.
One of the officers, one of the ex-cops, but no charge was filed for the murder of her. And that's what's important in all of this. I gotta be honest, you guys, when that $12 million settlement had came out about a week ago, I sort of knew that something like this was on the horizon.
You mean
for
like
her.
something like...
Yeah, they tried to get ahead of it in a way.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I'm really surprised, but I'd love to know what you all are thinking. But let me first of all say, Breonna Taylor, we love you. We love your family. We are praying for your family. And we're going to continue to fight in the name of you and all of our other lost brothers and sisters through this justice system. But I would love to know you all's thoughts on it. Ace, you go first.
Well, for starters, I've never before today, I was today years old when I heard the charge wanton endangerment. I was like, and then, I was watching CNN earlier today and they kind of explained what it is. This is like even below manslaughter is what it is. And it's like you said, so it doesn't even address, Breonna Taylor's death. It's about the shots that were fired into a neighbor's apartment. And that just like, I listened for a little bit, but I had to just mute the TV and walk away because I couldn't even deal. And to be completely honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out like why they were at her apartment in the first place, knowing full well that the person that I guess they had a warrant for was already in custody allegedly.
Exactly.
And so for me, the whole story, so the fact that you don't even file any kind of charges that address, what this sister, what happened to the sister boggles me. And then, I was listening even to their black ass attorney general defending a system that's rooted in social and racial injustice. It was the epitome of a Twilight Zone to me. And I feel like what they probably did more than anything was they brought up just enough charges to kind of, people are going to be upset. They knew that regardless, but just enough charges that kept people from burning that whole goddamn city down. That's what it seemed like to me. And I'm still processing it, to be completely honest with you.
Twilight Zone, you said it. It's like, when are we ever gonna get due process, the justice that we deserve? Like, what? This is craziness.
Yeah.
Like, you walked into somebody's house, you barged into someone's house. They were defending themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You killed the person who was sleeping, and you get these charges that, like you said, Maurice, who's ever heard of this before? Like,
and they lied about it. They lied about it from the beginning.
And then they lied about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, now you're getting in trouble for shooting into the neighbor's house. Is the neighbor alive? Because Breonna is not.
She's not.
So,
right. She's not.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, you keep telling us that Black lives do not matter. You keep saying that. And every time we come back and say, hey, can we matter a little bit? Can you bring up manslaughter just a little bit? And you're like, no, you don't matter. And get mad when we say we do. Like, it It's baffling to me. It is getting on my nerves. Every day we wake up and it's the same thing. Like you said, Gary, $12 million. We knew if they're going to give them $12 million that they weren't going to do the charges the way they're supposed to. They're not.
It was like the largest settlement in like what
in their history. In the history, yeah,
right?
in the history, I think of that.
The court had to like put out for this, and it's like.
But there was a woman who was, I don't know, I forgot what country it was. I should have remembered this, but it was another country. A woman was killed, unfortunately, and they gave the family, I think, like $60 million.
Wow.
So 12 million is literally nothing. Okay.
But I mean, it was just like, it was hush money for me. It was.
I was gonna say, I don't even care if it was $100 million. It doesn't bring back
justice.
Exactly.
Her mom doesn't have justice. Right. Her mom is, and that's what the biggest thing with a lot of these cases is that even with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, their families are still living with the grief and the loss of these people. Her mom is still grieving. So $12 million, that's like, okay, thank you. But my dad don't bring my daughter back. And so at least I was hoping that these charges would do something. Would at least give her some kind of solace that her daughter's life mattered.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We've seen it.
I was going to say, what is the harm in bringing the charges about? What is the harm in bringing about a second-degree manslaughter charge?
What is
letting it play out in the court of law? You know, and that just tells me, like, you started at the very bottom, and you didn't go much further up from there as far as what charges you brought about. The fact that two of these officers got off basically scot-free at this point, it just boggles my mind.
I mean,
and it's exhausting.
We've been seeing it for a very long time. You know, Jonathan and I were just having this conversation about Khalif Browder.
Yes.
The young kid in New York. It's a documentary on Netflix all about him. I binge watched it. I told Jonathan one day, and I was just in tears because the young boy it's so many holes in our justice system that just don't make sense. You know, he sat in Rikers for 3 years. Yeah. And was in like solitary confinement for a whole year over something he didn't do. You know, he got out and was mentally unstable and committed suicide. Like, still don't have justice for what happened. You know, they think these dismissal of cases and these settlements, there's not a price tag on people's mental health and like stuff that goes on with these families. And we've been seeing it for a very long time. I think, you know, what's disheartening to me is like, we look at like these little cases like the college scandal with Lori Loughlin, right? And how like she gets 2 months in prison and she gets to
pick her prison.
And it's like a country club of prisons. It's like a country club of prison.
Gotta get to choose where she does time.
And we're laughing, y'all, because not because it's funny, but because you almost have it's
laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, the laugh to keep from crying.
It's like a big joke. Is it a joke on us? That somebody playing a joke on us? Yeah. Like what? Like when I saw that, let's just be. I was like, bitch, what? Are you
exactly.
Who? What? What are you doing? Like, let that have been a black mother who. There was a black mother who sent her child to a school not in her district. She's been 5 years in jail. Hello?
Well, you think about all the things that they incarcerate black people for.
Oh my God.
I mean, listen, if you want to be serious about reforming the prison system, the justice system, you know, let every black person out of jail for any kind of petty marijuana charge, all that stuff. It's just, you know, it's a stark contrast. And for anybody who doesn't want to acknowledge it, that's willful ignorance on their part, because it's right in our faces to see.
You're right.
We have a president, hopefully temporarily, you know, who just like openly came out against the whole 1619 project and called like poisonous. Like, you know, it's almost like this erasure of history that is kind of trying to take place with racism that happens. That's kind of scary.
Oh, well, it's what's been in place, right?
And
did you see what else he did?
He called it the 1776?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I'm like, well, we already know that is what we already learned that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what boggles my mind, because like, so you know, they got the whole TikTok situation going on, right? and how I guess there are certain businesses here in the United States that are going to start running TikTok from servers within the United States instead of in China. And so Trump has found a way to tie even that into requiring them to, like, you know, they're going to have money to, like, fund his idea of patriotic education or something along those lines. And I'm like, are you serious right now? I mean, so just pretty much doubling down on the whitewashing of education that we've already been dealing with, you know, forever in this country. It's just
so
like,
sad.
What
It's
gives?
sad.
Can't tell for those watching. If you can't tell, we tired.
We are
We're sick and
tired.
tired.
We are so
And, you know,
tired.
To add insult to all of this in 2020, we lost RBG. Like we lost, you know, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a pioneer and icon for civil rights, especially women's rights. I mean, it just all really ties along when we talk about justice and enforcing the law and things like that. You know, when I heard that, I gotta be honest, for me, I didn't have any energy to even,
No.
because it's like, what more could even happen in 2020 at this right now moment, right before an election that could, like, it's like,
What hurt? What hurt?
Where were you when you
God.
heard? Where were you when you heard it, Jonathan? What were you thinking?
Oh my God. I was literally in the bed and I was getting ready for work and I couldn't believe it because she was like one of those ones I was really praying that would just overcome. It was like John Lewis. Like I just prayed that they would overcome it, you know, because they're like our heroes and we need them. Like,
yes.
And then when I found out, I was just like, out of all people,
I know.
why her? 2020 has been ruthless. And I'm not laughing. I really don't want people to think like my sense of like, it's just to really from the pain of really losing a pioneer. You know what I'm saying? And that is just, that's how heavy it is. Like we talked about it. I was talking with some friends and it was just even comparing it with like John Lewis's death. It's just like, we live in a lifetime where two pioneers are gone. Like we got to see them live, make laws, see the effects of their laws, and now they're gone. And how that makes us all feel, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah, I tell you. Yeah, I mean,
Chantal, what did you think?
I kept thinking about her saying, like, I want to be here for the next president. And I kept thinking about that. And me personally, I know death is hard for everybody, but I just really it just does something to my spirit, to my mental state. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, does she know that she's gone? Like, and she has left us, like, and we don't have a new, like, it's just, she was everything to us because she pushed legislation through that nobody else wanted to put through. Heavy on Roe v. Wade, on equal pay for women owning property, all these different laws.
Chantal.
Yeah, this was hers. These were her laws, you know, and we should rename them the RBG laws because these were her laws and these were very important to her. And now who they want to fill her seat and just like erase her, you know, it feels like that's what it feels like to me. Like they just want to just, okay, well, she's gone now, goodbye, next. That's how it feels. And I was devastated. I was just like, oh my gosh. And same like Jonathan. What else?
Yeah.
Another pioneer, especially now for women's rights, especially now.
Exactly.
Ace.
I think you know, it was Friday. It was Friday evening, right? I think I just finished cooking dinner and was ready to just sit down and enjoy the evening. I had an exciting weekend ahead of me, and then multiple people texted me, and it was just like, can we even deal with another headline like this? And you're right. I mean, I think it's just been frustrating. Just like, I think we all knew that RBG really just wanted to hang on until another president was elected into office. And again, just to see what the Republicans are doing right now in particular. And it's just like the hypocrisy, the blatant hypocrisy when they, you know, when we face a similar situation in 2016, and there was no vote, and now they're wanting to ram whatever nominee y'all's president wants to put through. They want to ram him or her through for confirmation. It's just, I can't even deal with it. And then, like you said, for us to go from somebody who has championed women's rights to somebody who, without a doubt, is going to advocate for taking women's rights away, is just the ultimate. It's a cruel twist of fate. It really is.
Maurice, talk about what it means, how pivotal it is for this position that they could push through. Talk about how pivotal it is for us.
Well, what it does is this could really change the dynamics of the Supreme Court for years and years.
Yes.
A 6-3 conservative swing. And the fact of the matter is this will be the second judicial seat that Republicans have stolen, basically. It's a power grab is what it is. And, I think more than anything, it should be more motivation for us to get out there and vote this man out, turn the Senate back to a majority Democrat. We've got to do it, because it's really at this point our only hope to kind of keep some checks and balances in place. And it's sad that, the democracy in our country really kind of hinged upon the last few heartbeats of an 87-year-old woman. That's really where we are right now. And it's really sad, and it's really scary.
Yes.
So, these next few weeks are going to be, we thought they were already going to be bad with the debates coming up and everything else leading up to the election. Now we've got a Supreme Court battle, and it seems like the Republicans have the votes that they need to fill the seat.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a lot. I sometimes debate whether I want to, tune into the news or not. But, as much as you want to stay away from it for your own mental health, you've got to stay plugged in.
You got to stay connected.
Know what's happening. Yeah.
We have to stay connected. This is a lifetime appointment. And, the scary thing for me is, I'm Black, I'm gay. Chantal, you're a Black woman. We come from Black women. We come from, these long lines of strong, powerful women. And for me, one of the issues that I've always had was Roe versus Wade. Like, there's no reason why we should be talking about rolling that type of thing back, no matter what your belief system is. And I don't know, what is the lady that is circling her name? She has 7 kids. She's like Catholic. That they're thinking of nominating her. I don't remember her name.
I always forget her name too.
Yeah.
I can't remember
some
her
judge
name.
from Indiana.
But it's a judge from Indiana. But my thing with this always has been, it's like, when we think we're taking steps forward, we're back to having these same conversations about rights and what people should be allowed to do with their bodies. And, I really hope, because we saw with the last Supreme Court justice that they moved in, it actually surprised us. It actually surprised us with the votes that they started ruling with enforcing the law. So my hope is that whoever comes in, like, enforces the law and not their belief system and not religion. Because I think that's always going to be a big strife for us, especially still in the Black community, right? When we start talking about Black Republican conservatives and start talking about, Democratic liberals, y'all, it's still a conversation about abortion and things like that,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is real. Pro-choice, pro-life. That is a real conversation. It's almost like, which side do you stand on? Who do you, it changes people's opinion of you, what you think. And I believe that you should have the right, women should have the right to do what they want to do with their bodies.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. I hate the way, go ahead, Chantal.
All right, but I think people are confusing pro-choice with not being pro-life. It's not like, because I'm pro-choice, I want people, I just want to kill babies.
Like they call pro-abortion. That's right. And it's just like, no.
And people think that the majority of women who have abortions are just like, oh, well, I'm just gonna have another abortion today. I'm just gonna do this. That's not how it goes. It's traumatic. Yeah. It is a very traumatic experience. It's not just I want to do this today because it sounds fun. No, there are factors, there are reasons why women do it, and they should be able to do it if they want to. It has nothing to do with you.
I think that I just hate the way the whole abortion debate is framed to begin with.
Yes.
I just feel like, like you just said, Chantal, like, getting an abortion is one of the hardest decisions a woman ever has to make in her life. And so I don't think that it's one of those things that anybody wants to have to go through. And I just wish that we framed the abortion debate around reducing the need for them while still making sure that women have the option. I just hate that, I just get so sick of how Americans just love to just pull everything. I think that, if we framed it right, you would realize we all have more in common about this than we don't.
It's a pivotal moment in history. And there are a lot of Black Republicans that are more public. We saw them at the Republican National Convention. We're seeing them in local election. I need to know your honest frame of thought behind, because I get it, right? Every Black person doesn't need to be a Democrat. Listen, I hear all you intelligent, smart people about why I'm thinking this right now moment. I'm sorry, there should not be a conversation about where we stand as it relates to Republican or Democrat in this election. I'm sorry.
No. Your coonery is showing. Your coonery is showing.
Definitely.
Especially here in
It's not
2020.
time to be a Republican. It's just not. What are you
You
doing?
are tap dancing. All of the supporters, and I don't care. They're tap dancing and cooning around to support this man. It is whatever you believe in, the Republican ideals, the standards, where I know a lot of Republicans, and not a lot of Black Republicans. But what I do not like is no side or no choice right now. This person is crazy who's in the White House. He
Point blank.
care about your black tail. He don't care nothing.
Not at all.
About you.
No.
And that's the thing.
All right. I love them.
Right. I mean,
no.
it's just that's a stark contrast. Listen, if we're talking about Black Republicans in 2012, when it was Obama versus Romney versus 2020, it's a completely different thing.
That's
2012, I think, because like I said, like we said, Black people are not monolithic,
right.
Just like any other, demographic out there. We are people who have a variety of, beliefs on issues. Like y'all said, here in 2020, there's just no articulate argument that a Black person can make for Donald Trump. And that's, like you said, seeing them at the convention, and their whole argument was that they're free thinking, people or whatever. And that's the point that they're trying to make. And I'm sitting here there's no way in hell you can sit here and support somebody who has formed his lips to say that white supremacists are fine people. You've heard at his rallies, some of his supporters calling Obama the N-word. He can't form his lips to say Black Lives Matter. He's disparaged women of color who've called him out about things like questioning Kamala Harris' citizenship and her eligibility to be president, saying that it would be an insult to this country, calling Maxine Waters a low IQ woman, calling Omarosa a dog.
Preach.
Rhetoric that's empowered racists all around this country to come out of the shadows. You see these videos every week on social media in grocery stores. And I even think about my baby sister who was in high school when his administration first started, and some of the things that she saw in the hallways and sporting events around town. I just worried about all that. So there's just no articulate argument that any Black Republican can make for him. So that's why I turn my nose up. I shake my head at people like Kim Klacik, who's trying to run, here in who's trying to run here in Maryland. Daniel Cameron, that attorney general in Kentucky, who shucked and jived on the convention stage for Trump, and then shucked and jived again this afternoon, defending this broken justice system. Candace Owens, who wants to pick a battle on social media with Cardi B. Cooning for free, when they don't even want anything to do with her. She wasn't even invited to the convention.
And you didn't even get a chance to speak. They didn't let her speak.
Exactly. So for me, there's nothing. And so any Black Republican that comes up to me and says that they're supporting Trump, miss me with it. I don't even want to engage you.
We would be, first of all.
Thank you. You just gave a word. You gave a word for the people.
It's draining. It really is.
Because the scary thing is we're really trying to have intellectual conversations around something that does need to be intellectual. We don't need to intellectualize this. You need to vote. I was listening to people talk. Everybody's not going to be impacted by this election. We're going to be impacted by this election. And the scary part for me is this new narrative that's come out about the Black Lives Matter movement, and you know how they've been sort of, it's slanted, right? And so now they're rioters and they're looters and they're almost like a terrorist group. You know, that's kind of scary for me because that's never their intention, and it kind of paints a broad stroke about a movement that was never supposed to be what it was. And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with the looting and what's going on. You know, this is par for the course in any type of revolution. But it's kind of scary that the Black Lives Matter movement is being painted that way when they're so important to our movement. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, that's what this president is all about, sowing that division. And this is another opportunity for him to do just that. You know, and it's opportunistic for him, right? You know, he's using that as a fear tactic, thinking like trying to paint Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. Well, no, right. And there's just, I don't even know how anybody can see it as such. That's just, again, like I said before, willful ignorance. You don't want to sit down and have the uncomfortable conversation about the racial injustices that Black people are dealing with every single day in this country. And instead, you want to give your supporters who are, you know, who may have been closeted racists at one point and are just outward racist now, some red meat. That's exactly what it is. And giving them more ammunition to go out to the polls themselves. They're talking about there's going to be like lawlessness in the streets and this, that, and the third. I'm in Baltimore. It's no crazier than it normally is here. You in Chicago, it's no crazier than it normally is there.
Atlanta
so
too.
It's just like, exactly. So I'm just like, I don't even know what he's talking about.
It's just crazy. He comes against. I'm sorry, Ms. Chantal. What you saying?
I'm just saying that's what fear does. You can have, when you inflict fear into people, that's when they start to lash out against others. Maya Angelou, she had an interview years ago where I think the white journalist asked her, you know, why do you think white people hate y'all so much and blah blah blah. First of all, really, you want me to answer that? Y'all hate us?
Right.
Whatever. Okay. And she's like, well, because it's a fear. It's a fear of you're going to take my job. It's a fear of you're going to rob my house. You're going to take my education. You're going to be able to have all the things that I have. You're going to be able to have the privilege that I have. And so that is a fear. They do not want that taken away from them. So there's
now you see this new thing, right? Where he's about, you know, they're going to move into the suburbs or, you know, just very coded language talking about how the suburbs are now in danger.
Listen, he's done such a good job dividing this community. When you talk about the Candace Owens Cardi B thing, right? Candace Owens is a Black woman othering another Black woman. And you should see sort of the comments and the vitriol aimed at Cardi about being unintelligent, about all these things that's happening in our own community. That's scary because we've othered each other.
That's respectability politics that doesn't work. It's just not, especially when it comes to Black women. It's always, girl, if you talk that way, you're ghetto, you're this, you're that, and the third. Ghetto people still have to vote, y'all.
Yes.
They still are.
Ghetto people still have opinions.
My family, everybody got family who got somebody who hood. Please make them vote.
Right.
Exactly.
I love that you just said that.
We just divide each other even more. We're just dividing each other even more. People don't get that. It's a lot of, especially conservative Black people, who always come after the quote unquote, the ghetto girls, y'all do this, y'all do that. Why are you doing all that? That's not going to change police from killing you. Okay. Your respectability doesn't work.
They don't see you as a conservative Black person. They see you as Black. And I tell people that all the time. I don't care if you have a suit on or if you got on some hoochie pants, whatever. They see you Black. And they care about it, and they will take your, I mean, it's just real. That is so real. It is so real.
And Cardi has a platform. Cardi has this huge platform.
Oh,
Let
absolutely.
We should be applauding her for speaking out.
That's the thing that drives me bananas.
She can get all these people to go out and vote. You know how many people follow Cardi B?
Exactly. I think it just drives me bananas that, you know, people who agree with what she has to say always say something about she needs to just shut up and stick to music. You know, the same way that a lot of these like keyboard warriors on Twitter are popping off about, you know, whatever their ignorant stances on issues. Nobody's telling them to shut up and stick to bagging groceries at Walmart, are they? So it's just like, it just drives me bananas. Like, no,
bagging
she has just as much a voice There's nothing wrong with bagging groceries at Walmart as long as you bring in a coin. But like,
That's right.
but no, it just drives me bananas that, like, you know, obviously because she has a platform and because people know her or something, that she should just stay in that box and not sound off about everything else going on around her. Not gonna happen. And I love that Cardi, they got the wrong one in Cardi, because she will let
baby,
you know.
Cardi's not gonna be silent. She like, no.
And she always comes with a receipt too.
Yes.
Like, you know, even
Yes.
with this whole stuff about, you know, them trying to drag her into the political debate, she showed a video of some Trump supporters out on the water on a boat blasting her new song with Meg. So it's like, you're not gonna come for Cardi and not think she's gonna have not gonna have any ammunition.
Absolutely not. And listen, next week we're gonna start with Cardi and this whole divorce situation. But I felt like we need to dedicate some time to some real heavy Black issues. I have a final question, just as we close this out, and then Jonathan will close us out. I just want to know from each of you, what do you want your community to be mindful about as we're talking about voting? And what is it? 50? How many days do we have?
It's 40 something now.
I think 40
something. 40. 41. 41 days before. What do you want your community to be mindful about as election time is coming? Jonathan, you go first. Or Ace, go first. No, Ace, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the efforts to suppress our vote are real. That's what I want folks to know, and I want people to know, I don't care how you know, what you have to do to make sure you cast your ballot, do it. Like I've always said before, arm yourself with your options, get that absentee ballot, or request it as soon as possible so that you have that. If you want to go do early voting, find out if early voting is a thing in your state, when does it start, or mask up, you know, and get in line on the day of. But whatever we do, we have to vote. The efforts to suppress our vote are real.
Nice. Chantal.
Make sure that you at least try to research some of the laws that are on the ballot. I know that they are confusing, they're hard to understand. Do your best to at least try to at least get 3 that you know
good.
well and that you understand well, because those laws, even though we kind of detach them from the big presidential race, those laws are the ones that affect us locally. And those are the ones that are going to affect you and yours in your home. So make sure you really try and at least get 3 of those laws under your belt, and to where you really understand them and that you're voting in the right direction.
Great.
That's really good. The local stuff is where it's at. And the local politicians.
Yeah.
You know who's running for local office too.
Yeah.
Jonathan?
Me? My biggest thing, and it's very clear, it's a couple of things. One, do your census. It's still enough time to do it. Complete it, fill it out. When you see this episode, do it that night. It only takes about 10 minutes. But those are the starts of making sure that laws, making sure that, you know, money is allocated to your community, that, you know, different resources are allocated to your community. The census starts that process. But like Chantal and like Maurice said, knowing who is in your community, who's running, knowing laws that are going to be passed in your community before you go and do your ballot. If your life, you know that your life matters, start putting that in perspective in the people that you're voting for. If they don't have you in mind, then you don't need to vote for them. That's why it's not even in between. Put your life at the center of this. Put your children's life in the center of this. And if that person who you're trying to vote for, who you're even thinking about, don't have you in the mind and don't have you at the center of their heart, don't vote for them. Don't vote for their policies. Don't vote for their laws. Read about it so that you can be aware of it. And please know this. Know that your vote matters. Know that your vote matters. I know a lot of times people feel because of the last election and everybody who went and voted, and you feel like, damn, he still got in office? We can do it. Keep trying. Get your cousin, your mama, your sister, them to still go and vote, because it does matter. It does. And Black people sacrifice too much. Our ancestors sacrificed too much to have the right to vote for you not to vote. So go.
Exactly.
Go and vote.
Go vote.
Vote. Early voting. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Sis, are you going to say? Are you going to, you have yours?
Close it. Perfect.
Okay. Well, Thank you all for tuning in for Just a Little More. It's always great to have my family, my tribe here for Hot Topics. We will see you again next Wednesday. We have some more juicy ones coming your way. Do something for yourself. Take care of yourself. Love yourself all throughout this week. And we'll see you again next week.
Just a little more, just a little more.